Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Krysan here on this first edition of Sports Shorts in the month of December. I mean, unbelievable that Christmas is right around the corner. TK joined us from Tremonti's Meat Seafood here, Court Street Cafe. Tremonti's is later in the week. Court Street Cafe over in Port Allen, just 5 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge, right across the Mississippi River Bridge. Hang that first right, second light, hang that second right, and now you're right there at Court Street Cafe. Today, as we're presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and L'Auberge Casino, a lot to get to. New Orleans Saints feel like their season had a chance for their season. There's a fork in the road. They go left. All of a sudden now we're all excited. 3 wins in a row under an interim coach. They're right in the hunt, a game out of first place, trailing 2 teams in their division, and it's going to be a fun month of December. Instead, they decided to take the fork to the right, and now the season's over with. Taysom Hill looks like he's potentially out for the year after having 10 touches yesterday in the game, hurt his knee, and we know that offense can't do anything without him. We had, I think, Derek Carr had 24 completions or something like that, 24, 27 completions, and yet averaged only 5 yards a completion. I mean, that's just horrific. 5 yards an attempt. Just terrible. Check down city. The New Orleans Saints don't put up any offense. They miss a 35-yard field goal, and they lose by 7 to the Rams, who kind of resurrected their season, and now the Rams are in the wild card hunt. LSU looks impressive in a comfortable home win against Oklahoma, where they had a great second half and now finished the season 8-4. And what was interesting was not the game, was what happened after the game. And TK will tell us about that. And a whole lot more in sports. If you're a college football coach, get your resume ready because there's 13 jobs open now. There's going to be plenty more in the coming weeks. But, Tommy, let's start with the LSU Tigers. We'll start in a positive. LSU beats Vanderbilt. Oklahoma coming off of a big, impressive win against Alabama, where they shut down that Alabama offense that LSU could not. But clearly, when you're not a very good team, which Oklahoma is not, they're a 6-6 team, just like Vanderbilt. It's hard to have that, the week after that big win, when you're not expected to win and you upset and you storm the field and all that, like they did in Norman when they beat Alabama. The hangover effect was real for them against LSU.
Yeah, and I think LSU had a little juice for senior night and wanted to do it right and get it done. And, pretty good crowd, and the weather was football weather. And, LSU played a good football game, but again, Oklahoma's 6-6. Keep that in mind when you realize that they played a good football game. But, it's nice to win. Now, after the game, Brian Kelly says, I'm not happy with 8-4. Well, everybody knows that. And he said, I've taken the receipts, I've saved them, see you in the national championship game. He really thinks it's going in the right direction, even without Bryce Underwood. They're going to get more aggressive in the portal, according to him. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I think if Nussmeier comes back, not that he's the perfect quarterback, but all the comparisons about Burrow came back, Daniels came back, showed that improvement. But do they need a newer, different, or a better offense? I mean, I don't know. So they got a lot of places to check the box to try to improve, get ready for this bowl game, wherever it's going to be against whomever, and then, get ready for next year because nobody else in the SEC is going to sit still. We know that. So 8-4 is 8-4, but there's a lot to do if you're going to compete for the SEC championship next year.
They better hope and pray that they get it back, Nussmeier, because the going into the portal and plucking a veteran quarterback and him plugging him in the SEC and hoping that he can make the adjustment and be a one-year wonder. That's I don't feel super comfortable doing that, right? But Nussmeier, if he comes back, I mean, he is poised to have a fantastic year. I think the question becomes, and we just don't know, right, is what Nussmeier wants to do. Is he comfortable with, hey, if I'm a 3rd-round draft pick or a 2nd-round draft pick, that's good enough for me. I'm at that point in my life. I've been here long enough. I've been a college student long enough. I'm ready to go, try my wares in the pros, and does he think of himself as an NFL starting quarterback right now, or does he see the value in coming back, making $500,000 to $1 million next year as a quarterback of LSU, and rolling the dice? And the other thing too is, does he want to do it with a new coordinator? Because a lot of people expect that there's going to be a new coordinator in Baton Rouge, but Nussmeier's built this rapport with the current one. Are they friends? Does he have his back? Does he believe that he's in the right system and he doesn't want to learn a new system? I mean, all those things come into play behind the scenes that we just don't know the answers to.
I agree with you completely. And the other thing we learned about Nussmeier the other night, similar to Burrow and Daniels, he's a tough dude. I mean, it looked like he might be out for the game. I thought broken collarbone the way he landed. It looked like to me, and then somebody else said maybe separated shoulder. But the blind side hit on Burrow his junior year at LSU, and then Jaden Daniels got racked around a little bit, had to come out of a game. So Nussmeier's got that part of it, but there's other layers here, like you just pointed out. Is there a new offensive coordinator, et cetera, et cetera? And can the offensive line improve a little bit? Maybe they get a little help in there. I mean, Derry Beckwith pointed out on radio Saturday, losing Hurd to Tennessee, who's starting for Tennessee. And yes, they can run the ball with Dutchtown's Dylan Sampson, because they wouldn't let him play right tackle and move Jones to guard. Derry pointed all that out Saturday on the radio. So it starts on the offensive line, the line of scrimmage, offense and defense. So like we said, there's a lot of boxes that got to get checked for LSU to, Brian Kelly wants to say, see you at the national championship. Let's see you at the SEC championship. Let's get there first, because if you win the SEC, you're going to be in the playoff and going to have a chance, as we know.
Yeah, I like the fact that Brian Kelly said what he said. And look, he's not playing to the Tommy Chrysan. He's playing to the recruits. He's playing to not only high school kids, he's also playing that to college kids and his own kids. I mean, you don't just recruit them to get them to LSU or to any college anymore. Once you get them there, you got to recruit them to stay. You got to recruit them not to leave. You got to recruit them to come back. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But that's what you got to do. He played to the crowd with that statement. That was 100% planned. But at the end of the day, you look around the SEC, the landscape of the SEC, and I know that Texas only has one loss, Tommy, but that's not a one-loss SEC team. We've seen that Georgia team last year that lost a game to Alabama in the SEC championship game was way better than that Texas team that we got representing the league this year, holding the flag as the best team in the league. I don't know if it's a situation where adding Oklahoma and Texas combined with, I think it's just a perfect storm of adding them, Saban stepping down, the portal, the transfer portal, and everything. It has, leveled out to a certain extent and made way more competitive the conference, to where, there isn't that super dominant powerhouse team. I mean, Georgia just lost to Georgia Tech. I'm not betting against Georgia in the Atlanta in the Dome against Texas. I'm just not. But this is not a super conference, super team, super conference where, oh my God, I'm playing an SEC team. Forget about it. Everybody is gobbling up each other, and to the point where 8-4, 9-3 isn't that bad, and we might have to get used to that.
Well, the old saying, you are what your record says you are. But I agree with you that Texas, if you dive deep in there, I don't think they're going to win the national championship. I really don't. I mean, nobody knows who's going to win it. This has been the craziest college football season in forever, and the playoffs are going to be super crazy too when we get to that point. But you're right. Brian Kelly was playing to the recruits, sending a message and all that. I got no problem with what he said. I understand it and I get it, and we'll just see what happens for LSU going forward. He also made that comment. There's a lot of guys coming back that haven't made the announcement yet, and that kind of implies that maybe it's some people that you think are going, okay, or you think we're definitely going to be going. Well, maybe they won't be. I don't know. We'll let that, as the old Ronnie Rance say it, let it play out.
Well, definitely Nussmeier's post-game words when he talked about wanting to win for the seniors and not letting them go out like this in their last game at home and all. He didn't really reference anything to himself, right? He didn't
Well,
imply,
he did say he hadn't made a decision yet
yeah.
when he
But I
was
mean,
asked if he was going.
I just you kind of felt like he's leaning towards coming back, and I know that everybody hopes that he does, but and I really think that if he does, Tommy, and he just doesn't, he avoids, two landmines in a row or 2, 3 landmines in a row of crappy games, he's going to be a first round pick. Look at the conversations that everybody was having the first 6 games of the year, where all the projections had him being a first round pick, and then he had the 3 just horrific games in a row. Uh, everybody forgave him for throwing below 50% against Ole Miss because he made the 2 big fourth down throws on the final drive and won the game. But then he continued that the next 3 weeks. If he comes back next year and he avoids those pitfalls, he just has one bad game, like that, then he's going to be a first round pick. And the difference between a first round pick and a second or third round pick is life changing money. And so, and a better opportunity with whatever team you're playing with, that you're going to get all the chances in the world to be successful. So let's hope that they're going to sell him on all that, and we'll see what happens.
Well,
We
I
know that
think
Ricky
LSU
Collins,
is. I
we know
think
that
LSU is better if he comes back
oh,
than if he doesn't.
100%. By the way, Ricky Collins, the Woodlawn High product, who's been one of the backups for him, it's being reported that he is going to transfer. Curious if if it had anything to do with the fact that when Nussmeier went out, Swan went in instead of Collins for those 3 throws. When everybody expected Collins to be the backup, and instead it was the Vanderbilt transfer, Swan. And also, he probably knows better than anybody if Nussmeier is going to come back or not. And so, through his personal conversations with Nussmeier, if it's like, well, Nussmeier is coming back, and they think Swan is this much better than me right now, like, what am I doing here as a third string quarterback? I got to go somewhere. So all that
Well,
probably.
I think the reason Swan went in is he did start 12 games at Vanderbilt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And coaches, when they got to make that decision, they're going to fall with what's comfortable, knowing that, okay, Swan played 12 games in the SEC or against somebody playing for an SEC team, and Collins is not. So, I mean, that's if it was that close, that's the reason you go with Swan. And of course, he threw some really bad passes, and that's to be expected.
Yeah, no question. The experience factor was a big part of that. But now we wait and see. Getting to the playoffs, there's 2 teams that may not make their way into the playoffs that probably could make a case that they deserve to be, and that's Colorado and South Carolina. Those are 2 of the best teams in the country right now, playing their best football down the stretch. South Carolina last-minute win on the road against Clemson, and of course, Colorado with 9 wins this year, 52-0 victory against Oklahoma State. Uh, and Shador Sanders, veteran quarterback. Like, neither one of those 2 teams probably gets into the dance, but you make a case for either of them to get into the dance.
Well, they need some help too, though. I mean, and they're not going to play. Like, in other words, you can't have Clemson knock off SMU because then both of them would get in. So as they need SMU to win. Miami might be out. I mean, they blow a 21-point lead
They
against
should be.
Syracuse. Ohio State might be out. I mean, there's just it's craziness. We've seen this since September, even last week, August. It's been crazy, and it's not going to stop. All these conference championship games this weekend, and let's throw it in there. Southern plays in theirs. Raging Cajuns playing theirs, and the Green Wave playing theirs. So, I mean, they're going to have some games this weekend. None of them will be in the playoffs. Tulane, that went out the window with the loss to Memphis on Thanksgiving night. But, man, there's still a lot of craziness to be had in college football. And then those playoff rankings that are going to come out this Tuesday, then they'll pick the teams next Sunday. There's going to be some disappointed teams, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited about the postseason playoffs this year because it is truly wide open. Boise State has just as much chance of winning the national championship this year as anybody, and that gets me fired up because there's been plenty of years where you get to the 4 teams and we know that the 1 versus 4 who's going to win, and this is why every game in the postseason this year is wide open. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, it really is. And I watched Boise State play last Friday. That running back, Ashton Jante, he's a dude. I mean, he is the real dude. And it's going to be a shame that either he or Travis Hunter doesn't win the Heisman because they're not both going to win it. But I watched a lot of that game. And I mean, the yards after contact, it's just unbelievable. And we know the numbers. And then again, like, whoever they're playing know he's getting the ball and they still can't stop him. That's something. So, you're right. There's no team right. I was thinking about this morning, driving over the bridge here to Court Street Cafe. There's no team that you would bet, $10,000 on that they're going to win it. Where in past years there might have been a team where you'd throw a large bet, whatever's a large bet in your betting world, but not this year. I mean, it is just no telling what is going to happen, and there's going to be some teams that get left out that aren't going to be happy. But what we should do, Ron. It's kind of like you got the March Madness pool, you pick the pool. They're gonna have to start that for college football, even though it's only 12 teams. And still nobody's gonna come close to having a perfect pool. And it would be easier to do obviously with 12 teams than 68, whatever's in basketball. So the craziness is far from over.
Um, the looking elsewhere around the country, the Kansas City Chiefs survive. It's clear cut that you got the Bills uh, and Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. I guess you got to throw in the Pittsburgh Steelers, into that conversation in the upper tier. I mean, that was an impressive win. We think of the Steelers winning with defense and low scoring and all that kind of stuff. And Russell Wilson has an unbelievable game, throws for 400 yards, outguns Joe Burrow, puts up 44 points. The Steelers look like they can now beat you in different ways. They got a Super Bowl quarterback in Russell Wilson, a Hall of Fame coach in Tomlin. So, those look like the top three teams. I think over the Eagles and the Lions clearly look like they're the top two teams in the NFC. I mean, there's starting to be separation in both leagues. I mean, is there somebody else you got to throw into that conversation, or did I, in your opinion?
No, I think you got it. I mean, the Lions and the Eagles look like the class of the NFC. AFC, all the playoff teams are pretty much set, unless really craziness happens. And it does include the Denver Broncos today at 7-5. But the Steelers, with the win yesterday, Mike Tomlin's been the head coach there for 18 years. That's so rare in the NFL anymore. And he's never had a losing season. I mean, this guy's going straight into the Hall of Fame when he's done coaching because that's longevity and success, So the NFL, we talk about college football being crazy. The NFL is going to be that as well.
By the way, remember it came out this year that the Miami Dolphins had the chance to hire Mike Tomlin, but the internal memo said he was too ghetto. Too hip hop. I'm sorry. They didn't use the word ghetto. They used the word too hip hop. Now that was when Saban left. And they ended up going a different direction, and they could have had Mike Tomlin. What a difference it would have made for that franchise!
Well,
Right?
there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas in college and professional sports, not just football. When you could have had this guy, I mean, LSU could have had Spurrier at one time. He really wanted the job and
Bobby Bowden
came to Baton Rouge on his own nickel to politic for the job, and so I mean that's part of it that's always been there and always will be.
All right, TK, what else do we have here? Do we want to get to?
Speaking of coaches, Tim Rebowe retires at Nichols, a teammate of mine at Southeastern. He was a catcher on the baseball team before shifting all his stuff to football, and I've already named the next coach. This was all planned out. So hats off to a great guy who you know and I know very well personally and have dealt with in the media for many, many years. So tip of the hat to Tim Rebowe. Kim Mulkey gets her 100th win at LSU as a coach. A couple of big games for men's and women's basketball this week. SEC ACC Challenge. LSU men host Florida State. The women host Stanford. Yeah, Stanford's in the ACC now. So that's going to be big. We got high school semifinal action coming up this week. And Ron, you teased us on the radio Saturday that you had some more tales from the cruise that you were on in the Gulf of Mexico last week. You want to do that? You want to save that till Wednesday or what?
I'll give you
Maybe
one, TK.
because we heard about the massage thing,
Yeah,
okay? But
the Mayan
yeah,
ritual
yeah.
massage experience was life changing. I feel like I've opened my chakras on that one. I am happy to announce that for the third time now in my life, I lost a karaoke championship finals. I finished second on the cruise in the karaoke superstars. And 6,700 passengers finished second. Not a terrible thing to be upset about, but you were there for one of my losses where I lost to a young lady 20 years ago at Spanky's Daiquiris in Prairieville, and you were there. They had Spanky's Idol when American Idol was rocking and rolling. And if you remember, Tommy, she came in there wearing a muumuu. She broke down and sang a little "Proud Mary," and about halfway through "Proud Mary" by Ike, when the song changes and goes fast, she ripped off the muumuu and had a flapper dress on. Well, that didn't happen on the cruise, but I lost to a lady singing "Proud Mary,"
Oh,
who who brought up. It was a 60-something-year-old African American lady who was an excellent singer, and she brought up her 30-something-year-old nieces as her background dancers. They had choreographed routine, and she killed it. And was the final song of the night. And I thought I had it in the bag, Tommy. She started singing, and I turned to my family and said, "Looks like second place again," and that's exactly what happened.
well, you need next time you enter, you got to say, "Is Proud Mary allowed in this competition?" Which is a great song. It always has been, always will be. But no, so you're right. Second out of the 6,700 people on the boat and whatever. That's still good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, TK. I mean, my Al Green, "Let's Stay Together." I thought I gave it a strong effort, but you're never going to beat "Proud Mary," especially if it's a good singer, a cute lady, and a dance routine. I can't compete with that.
And you don't have any friends that can dance, so you can't pull that in. Maybe you got some female friends, but
I,
but Hunter and Derry and I, like, we can't
yeah,
be
no,
your backup singing.
no,
That's out.
no. So anyway, yeah. That's it. It was a great trip. I enjoyed it with the family, my mom, my aunts, and aunt and uncle, and some good friends and family. We spent a week. It was Harmony of the Seas is the name of the Royal Caribbean ship. At one point in time, it was the largest cruise ship in the world. I think it's now like third or something like that. But unbelievable. I don't know how the thing doesn't sink. I don't understand all that, but it was just an incredible time, great experience. And I did the galley tour where you go behind the scenes and you see the kitchen and you learn about. I mean, it's unbelievable. Over 2,000 crew, over 300 people that work just in like between the kitchen and the wait staff and all that. Um, Amazing. They crank the amount of food they crank out every day. Over 2,000 pizzas they make a day. With 2,000 kids on the ship because it was Thanksgiving weekend. They did like over 20,000 chicken tenders a day. It's just amazing, amazing stuff. I don't know how they do it.
No, it's amazing. I'm glad you had fun.
All right, TK, tell us about anything else, and then we're going to be back here on Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily.
Well, again, we'll be here Wednesday for more Sports Shows Daily, and again on Friday, and then radio Saturday. But as we get out of here, I'll remind everybody about Court Street Cafe. I want to thank everybody that came out Saturday for Small Business Saturday here on the West Side. We had a really nice, fun day here participating in that. The West Side is the best side, as I like to say over here. But don't forget, Court Street Cafe, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, steak nights on Saturday, the world famous brunch on Sunday, full service bar. Jason and the staff do a super job at Court Street Cafe. Do the breakfast thing, the lunch thing, the dinner thing. Connect on Facebook and Instagram because they post lunch specials, dinner specials, weekly specials, you name it. It's all there. Court Street Cafe, just a couple of minutes over the bridge, as we always say, right here in Port Allen. Hey, before we get out of here, don't forget to like and share this show. Appreciate everybody watching Facebook, YouTube, or X. Like and share the show when you have a chance. That helps everything and everyone involved. Back Wednesday, I'll be at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, where they'll be back open tomorrow after the Thanksgiving break. On behalf of Ronnie Rance, Jason, and the staff here at Court Street Cafe, I'm Tommy Chrysant. Have a great day, everyone.